This conference will now be recorded.
So in today's session, we are going to discuss about object-oriented programming. And we will see what exactly object-oriented programming and what is the use, how can we implement the business logics through object-oriented programming, and upon implementing the business logics, what kind of principles are the standards, are the guidelines that we used to follow in Apex programming. We'll see one by one. And how can we implement our own custom business logics through object oriented programming? We'll see. And in this object oriented programming, what exactly a class, what exactly an object? So, what a class contains, what an object contains, and how these two are related. How can we define the classes? How to define the members? How to write the business logics in the form of class? How to invoke them? We'll see one by one. Now, let's see. So that already we know Apex is a cloud-based object-oriented programming language. Apex is a cloud-based object-oriented programming language that already we have discussed. So Apex is a cloud-based object-oriented programming where each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. In object-oriented programming, each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. Then what do you mean by class? What do you mean by an object? And what is the use of this object-oriented programming? We'll see. So in the starting classes of Apex programming, already told you as part of IT industry, we have four types of programming approaches. We have four types of programming approaches available, like structured oriented or procedure oriented. Second one, object oriented programming languages. Third one, component oriented programming languages. Fourth one, service oriented or message oriented programming languages. So while building the business logics by using procedure oriented programming or structured oriented programming, it won't provide much security for your code. Whatever the business logics that we have implemented, that business logic will not be in our control. We can't control the visibility of the business logic. It won't provide much security. Whatever the logics that we have written, that whatever the business logic we have implemented, that can be accessible by all the member in the organization, but we can't restrict them. That is a problem. So that we are using object oriented programming. Object oriented programming provides more security for your code. Whatever the logic you are going to implement, okay, that logic we can able to control the visibility also, which user can access what features that we can control, that facility is available. Now in this case, as part of object oriented programming, it provides more security for your code. That's what here most of the programming languages are purely supporting object oriented programming principles. Like for example, we have C++, we have Java, we have C Sharp.net, we have VB.net, we have Python, and we have JavaScript, and we have our Apex programming also. These are all are purely supporting object-oriented programming principles, because in object-oriented programming we are having more security for our code. We can control the visibility of the features as well. So that here we are using object oriented programming as part of our Apex programming also. That's what I'm telling you. Apex is purely a cloud based object oriented programming language. Why I'm using this word cloud based? Because these are all the programming languages which is supports, okay, object oriented, but these requires installations. That means these are purely on premise, but Apex is purely a cloud based programming language which doesn't require any installation. Now, so in this case, as part of this object-oriented programming, each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. Each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. Then what do you mean by a class? What do you mean by an object? Now, let's see. Let me explain the object first. What exactly an object, and then what it contains, and what exactly a class. We'll see one by one. Now, let's see. So, first of all, we have to understand what exactly an object. Let me explain the object first. Object. Simply, I can say whatever the things that we have in the real world. In the real world, whatever the things are available, each and everything is nothing but an object. In the real world, whatever the things are available, each and everything is nothing but an object. Like for example, we have a pen. Pen is an object. We have book. It's an object. Mobile. It's an object. Laptop. It's an object. Fan. It's an object. Table. It's an object. Chair. It's an object. And then whatever the things like that, whatever the things available in the real world, each and everything is nothing but an object, including myself also as a person. I'm also an object. Everything, each and everything, whatever we have in the real world is nothing but an object. Now, let's see in this case. For example, I have a fan in my room. Okay, I have a fan in my room. Now, the fan which I'm looking at right now, the fan which I'm looking at right now is nothing but an object. Now tell me, this is the only fan that we have in the entire world? No. We have so many fans are available in the world with the different colors, with the different features, with the different types from different manufacturers, with the different of prices. So now in this case here, the fan which I'm looking at right now, it is nothing but my object. But whatever the fans are available in the entire world, all the fans are belongs to a fan class. Fan is a class which defines a set of properties that each fan should have. Whatever the properties that each fan should have, that will be defined inside the class, and from there these all these fans has been derived with the different colors, with the different manufacturers, with the different features, okay, with the different prices. So the fan which I'm looking at right now, that is nothing but an object, and whatever the fans that we have in the entire world, those are nothing but the fan class. Like for example, one more scenario. Assume that myself is a person. I'm an object. I'm an object. As an object, I'm having some properties like my name, my age, my qualification, date of birth, gender, phone number, email ID, like that. I'm an object. Like the similar way. In our session, we have so many people over here. For example, we are having, okay, like as some Dinesh Babu. So now Dinesh is also one of the object. He is having his name, his qualification, his date of birth, his gender, okay, his email ID, contact number, everything like the similar way. So we are having some Monica. So she is also an object. She is having her name, her qualification, her date of birth, gender, contact number, email ID, like that. Each and every person is nothing but an object. Everybody is having their own names, their qualification, the date of birth, the genders, and their email ID, contact numbers, everything. But we all are belongs to what? Human beings. We all are belongs to human being. Each and every person is nothing but an object, but all these objects are belongs to human being class. So human being is a class which has been defined by the god, where he has defined certain properties. Every human being should have certain properties here. We all are belongs to human being class. Now, so in this case, how can we define a class? How can we define an object? Now, let me explain with one more scenario. For example, for example, God has introduced the human beings unto the earth. God has introduced human beings unto the earth. So, upon introducing the human beings unto the earth, God has defined certain properties. God has defined certain properties that each human being should have. What are all the properties that a human being should have? Okay, those properties has been defined by the God. Now let's see what properties God has defined. Now let me explain. Now God has defined a human being class. God has defined human being class. In this human being class, okay, in this human being class, he has defined what are the various properties or attributes that each human being should have. Each human being should have certain properties. What are all those properties that every human being should have? Those properties he has defined here. Like each human being should have a name, age, date of birth, gender, qualification, and then salary, and then email ID, phone number, address. That means location. Like that, here, God has defined certain properties, okay, each human being should have. These are the property. He did not give in any specific for gents and ladies. Okay, nothing. Because both are human beings. So now in this case here. So he has defined a set of properties that each human being should have. Now, for example, today a new baby has been born. Today a new baby has been born. Now, today a new baby has been born. Now, it may be a baby boy or baby girl, whatever, anything. Today, a new baby has been born. That baby may be either a boy or girl, whatever it might be. For example, let's consider the baby is a boy. For that baby, they have given the name as some Ram Kumar. Ram Kumar. Now tell me that baby is also one of the human being, right? Yes. That baby also having this same properties. That baby also having same properties over here. So whatever the properties we have defined, okay, for the human beings, the baby also having same properties. Now, so what will be the details of this baby over here? The name of the baby is what? Ram Kumar. The name of the baby is Samram Kumar. Now, age is what? 1 day. Today is a baby has been born. Date of birth, that is 30th, the T 11 2023. Gender male. Qualification not applicable because today only the baby has been born. No qualification, no salary, no email ID. Not applicable. Phone number not applicable. Address some Hyderabad. Because this baby has been belongs to a parent who is related to Hyderabad. So the baby is also belongs to Hyderabad location here. So now in this case, this baby is holding some values. Look at this baby is holding some values. Now this baby is nothing but what? A person. That means object. Now this object is related to what? Human being class. Then what this object is holding? Whatever the properties that we have inside the class, for each property, this object is holding some value over here. That means what? Class contains a set of members. Class contains a set of members, so which include some variables, properties, procedures, functions, constructors, all these things together, which we can use to build the business logic. Now, with the help of this object, we can access this a class of members, and for every member, we can assign some value. We can access that members of the class through with the help of this object. Observe the functionality. So, class contains the actual business logic. Classes are used to implement the business logics. That's what here classes are also called as controller classes. These are also called as controller classes here. In that case, once a class has been defined with the required business logics, in order to access the class members, in order to assign some values for the members, in order to retrieve the values from the members, we need a reference, we need a key that is called as object. So Ram Kumar is nothing but an object. So who is one of the human being? So we can able to access all the properties of human being, and then we can assign the value. Name we can assign some value. Age we can assign. Date of birth also. Gender also. Whatever the values that we have, we can assign these values for the properties. So in order to access the class members, we need the help of this reference or a key that is called as object. Now, so now tell me in this case here. Let me come to this one more point. So 20 years back, a person has born. Okay, 20 years back, a person has born. Now, 20 years back, a person has born. That person name is Santosh Kumar. That person name is Santosh Kumar. Now, that person also one of the human being, right? Yes. He is also having the same properties. Because he's one of the human being, right? Yes. He is also having the same properties. Now for these properties, he is having the values. So now these are the values here. His name is what? Santosh Kumar. His name is Santosh Kumar. Now age is what? 20 years. Date of birth March 15th, 2003. Gender male. Qualification salary 20,000. Email ID first now. Phone number some value. Address some Bangalore. Now this person is having some details here. He is also one of the human being. Now, so in this case, now tell me here, how many objects that we have for this class? Human being is a class. For this class, this is one object. For this class, this is also another object here. So like that here, multiple human beings we have. So in this case, all are belongs to human being class. So that for one class, we can have multiple objects also. So class is nothing but a blueprint or a physical entity which contains a collection of members inside that, which includes variables, procedures, functions, properties, constructors, all these things together. We will see what is procedure, what is function, everything we'll see. As of now, we know only variables. What is variable, how to define, how to assign, how to retrieve. We know how to define procedures, functions, everything we'll see one by one when moving forwards as part of this object oriented programming. Those are part of object oriented programming concepts. Now, in this case here, when coming to the classes, classes are used to implement custom business logics. In order to implement your own business logics to be get referenced inside your application development, then we are using classes. Like as part of my application, I want to design a screen. On that screen, I want to place a button control. When I click on that button control, it has to do some operation. To do that operation, whatever the logic is required, that logic I want to write in the form of a class. So that classes are used to implement the custom business logics. That's what we are going to be referencing them as controller classes. These are called as controller classes, which holds the business logic part. Now, so once a business logic has been implemented, then how to access the business logic? For that one, we need a reference. We need a key. For that one, we are using the help of object. So this is one object, this is another object. Now tell me, for this class, how many objects are available? Two. That means what, this is one object, this is another object. Like that, we have so many human beings are available. Those are all our objects. That means what? A class can have one or more number of objects. Observe the relation. A class can have one or more number of objects. Then what is the use of this object? Through the object only we can enter into the class and we can access all the members and we can able to assign some new values for the members and we can retrieve the values also. So class will be holding some set of business logics which can't be executable by their own. We need to invoke them. We have to call those class members. In order to access those members, we need a reference. We need a key that is called as object. So without the object, we can't access the class member. Without the object, we can't invoke the business logics over here. That is a functionality. Okay. Now here in this case, let's see. Now, let me give you one small scenario so that you can understand some more. For example, let's assume that in my home, we have four family members. In my home, we have four family members. Now, like as a father and a mother, a son and a daughter. Now, they're having some valuable properties, like some property documents, jewelry, money, gold, like that, so many valuable items here. Now, in order to protect these valuable items from the other members in the family, in order to protect these properties from other members in the family, we are placing all these items inside a cupboard. We are making a lock on that. We are placing all these valuable items inside a cupboard. We are making a lock on that. Now, that means here inside the cupboard we are having the valuable items. Now, like the similar way, my class also like as a locked cupboard. My class also like as a locked cupboard which contains some valuable items inside that. Those items are nothing but my variables, procedures, functions, properties, constructors, all these things together available inside my class. Now tell me, if any of your family member wants to use those properties, then what he has to do? He needs to open the cupboard. In order to open the cupboard, we need that key, right? Based on the key, we can unlock the cupboard, we can open it, we can use items. So, in order to access the items available inside that cupboard, we need a key. Based on the key, we can unlock it, we can open the cupboard, we can use those items. Like the similar way, once a class is available, a class is like as a locked cupboard which contains some set of valuable items inside that. If you want to access these items, we need to unlock it. We need a key, we need a reference. That reference is nothing but object. Okay, so simple concept is class contains the business logics. If we want to access this class functionalities, if we want to access this class members, we need object. It's like as a key, it's like as a reference through which we can enter into the class, we can access the members of the class, and we can assign some values also. So when coming to the objects, okay, we can able to maintain multiple objects also. For a single cupboard, we can maintain multiple keys. One key is using by mother, one key is using by the father. Multiple keys. Like the similar way, now a class can have multiple objects also. Now, now tell me in this case, memory will be allocating for what? For a class or for an object? Memory will be allocating for what? For class or for object? Always memory will be allocating for objects. Now tell me generally why the memory is required to hold the values. To store the values, we need some memory. Now values are available where? Inside the object level. So these object level, they are going to be assigning the value. So Ram Kumar, I'm storing the age value, date of birth also, gender also, address also. I'm storing some values. To hold these values, memory will be reserving for this object over here. Now, for the Santosh Kumar object here, memory will be getting reserved. So, a class can have one or more number of objects. Now, now tell me here, will both the objects will be having same memory or different memory? For both the objects, same memory will be allocated or different memory will be allocated? Different memory. Why different memory? That yesterday we have discussed in the previous session in arrays we have discussed. Once a variable has been defined, okay, we can assign some value. Suppose in future, if I'm assigning some more new value for the variable, then what will happen? Previous value will be replacing with new value automatically. So now, in that case, a variable can store only one value. But here, two objects are available. Two different values are available. He is Ram Kumar, he is Santosh Kumar. Different values are available. So that in order to store the different values, we need different memory. So that Ram Kumar object is having its own memory, Santosh Kumar object is having its own memory. That means each object will hold its own memory. So memory will be different from object to object automatically by Salesforce. So same memory will not be allocated. Memory will be different from object to object. Next. Now tell me one more point here. So will the Salesforce will allocate the same amount of memory for both the objects here? For example, for object 1 and object 2, it will be allocating 40 bytes of memory. No, not like that. Why? Objects are purely supporting dynamic memory allocation. Now, in this case, let's see. Here, how many values are storing? This is one value. Name, age, date of birth, gender, address. Only five values. To store these five values, whatever the memory is required, it will calculate dynamically. That much of memory will be reserved. For example, some 30 bytes. Here, when you go to the Santosh Kumar, we have more values like as a name, age, date of birth, gender, and the qualification, salary, email address, phone, and the address also here. How many values are available? Nine values. So to store that nine values, we need 50 bytes of memory. So more memory will be getting allocated over here. That means each object will hold its own memory. Each object will hold its own amount of memory also. Amount of memory also different from object to object over here because of the values. Depends upon the values which we have stored, the memory will be calculating dynamically at runtime. That much of memory will be getting reserved. Now, so in this case, when coming to that object oriented programming, in object oriented programming, each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. Each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects where the class contains a collection of members. Those members are nothing but our variables, procedures, functions, properties, constructors, all these things together, and which are used to implement our own custom business logics, which we can reference inside the different places of your application whenever we need, wherever we need. So once a classes has been implemented with the required business logic, in order to invoke that business logic, in order to access that business logic, we need a reference that is called as an object. That is called as an object. So objects are used to access the class members, and through these objects, we can assign some new values for the members, and we can retrieve the values from the class members also. So for a class, we can have one or more number of objects. Each class will have one or more objects, and then each object will be holding a separate set of values for the class members. That's what here each object will hold its own memory, each object will hold its own amount of memory also. Now, this is the relation between a class and an object here. Now, so now in this case, how can we implement the business logics? As part of this Apex programming, whenever we are implementing the business logics through this object oriented programming, through this object oriented programming, if you want to implement the business logics, then we have to follow some set of principles. We have to follow some set of principles. Those are also called as pillars of object oriented programming language. We have to follow some set of principles or pillars of object oriented programming, okay, where we have four principles are available in object oriented programming. Like encapsulation first one encapsulation, second one abstraction, third one inheritance, and the fourth one polymorphism. We have four basic principles are available as part of your object oriented programming. Not only our Apex programming, all the object oriented programming which are available in IT industry, every object oriented programming should follow these four principles, including C++ also, Java also, C Sharp also, VB.NET also, Python also, including our Apex programming. Every programming language should follow these four principles. We have encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and the polymorphism. Four principles are available. Then, what exactly encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and the polymorphism? Okay, we'll see in tomorrow's session because very few members are available today here. So, we'll be discussing these features in tomorrow's session in the classroom. Tomorrow we'll be having the classroom session as usual. Please be available to the classroom session. So tomorrow we'll continue with this feature. And then tomorrow I will show you how can we define a class, how to define an object here. What exactly the class, what is the syntax we used to follow, how to define the classes, we'll see in tomorrow's session. Okay. So please be available tomorrow at normal timings here. It's 7 o'clock. We'll be having the session at classroom. So very few people are available today for the session. That's what I'm winding up a bit early today here. Okay. Now, thank you. Thanks for your time. Let's meet on tomorrow. It's morning 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.